You could spend your entire life trying to change and end up achieving absolutely nothing. Do you know why? Because you're trying to change your life without changing your mind. Now, answer me honestly, are you truly living the life you want? Or have you simply learned to settle for what you've got? The truth is hard, most people are trapped inside their own minds, living a reality they never consciously chose. And the worst part? They believe it's normal. Today, I'll show you why nothing in your life will change until you understand this. You see, most people spend their lives trying to fix everything around them, when in fact, they should be looking within. They want more money, better relationships, improved health. Yet the results stay the same, year after year. Do you know why? Because they're trying to change the fruits without ever touching the roots. And results never lie. They clearly reflect where you are now, not where you want to be. Your bank balance doesn't lie. The body you see in the mirror doesn't lie. The way you feel when you wake up in the morning doesn't lie. You may try to fool yourself with words, excuses, justifications, even little stories. But your results, they always tell the truth. Now tell me, are you living exactly the way you desire? Or have you become used to less than what you deserve? Perhaps you're thinking, but Bob, I work hard, I'm honest, I try my best. And I believe you. But this has nothing to do with physical effort or good intentions. It has everything to do with mental programming. When I first started, I was earning around £3,200 per year and owed nearly £4,800. It felt like an impossible situation. I couldn't even imagine a way out. My life was like a quiet loop of frustration. Then one day, a man asked me something that still echoes in my mind: why don't you change your results? It sounded like a simple question, yet it shook me. Because until that moment, I didn't even know it was possible. I thought life happened to me, that everything was caused by external events. But the truth was that I was creating it all, with my thoughts, my beliefs, and my mental paradigm. And perhaps you're doing the same without even realizing it. Have you ever wondered why you keep facing the same financial, emotional, or professional issues, even though you're trying to change? Have you noticed that even when an opportunity shows up, something inside you sabotages it? That you start off excited, but soon fall back into old patterns? That's the paradigm. It's invisible, but it controls everything. And the strangest thing is that most people are trying to change their lives without even knowing the paradigm exists. It's like trying to change your destination without adjusting your GPS. You can speed up, turn the wheel, honk the horn, even change the tires. But if you don't change the programmed destination, you'll always end up in the same place. This is what silently destroys the lives of so many people. They think they're unlucky. They believe they weren't born to succeed. That life is hard. But these are just inherited ideas, beliefs repeated since childhood, often passed from generation to generation. And they get embedded so deeply into the subconscious that you don't even realize they're directing your life. This is where the silent suffering of thousands begins. They look at their results and feel like failures. But failure isn't their fault. It's the result of the mental software they're running. The question is, how much longer will you let that program steer your life? I remember an experience I had in Toronto. I was speaking with a young man, clever, full of dreams, but completely stuck financially. He said to me, "Bob, I've tried starting 3 businesses. They all failed. Maybe I wasn't born for this." I asked, "What's the most you've ever earned in a single year?" He said, "Around £16,000. Right then, I understood. He wasn't trying to create something new, he was just replaying an old mental pattern. And as long as that number remained etched into his paradigm, nothing would change. This pattern defines how far you believe you can go. And if you try to go beyond it, something within pulls you back. Fear, doubt, procrastination, distraction. It works like an internal thermostat. If things get too good, the system adjusts to return to a normal. And that normal is what you've accepted, even if it makes you suffer. You know, I've seen this happen time and again, with entrepreneurs, artists, doctors, single mothers, university students. Brilliant people. People with real potential. But they're unaware that they're being driven by an internal force stronger than any temporary motivation. Real change begins when you face your results with raw honesty. No excuses. No self-pity. No comparing yourself to others. Just you, your truth, and the decision that this is no longer enough. So here's my invitation: pause for a few minutes and look at your life as if you were observing it from the outside. Notice the patterns that keep repeating. Notice the results that never seem to shift. Then ask yourself the most powerful question I've ever heard: why don't I change my results? That question might sting. But it could also be the turning point in your life. It was for me. And it might be for you too. You've probably heard the word paradigm before. But let me ask you, do you truly know what it means? Because if you don't understand it deeply, then honestly, your chances of changing your life are very slim. A paradigm is a collection of habits, beliefs, thought patterns, and behaviors that have developed over the course of your life. They live in your subconscious mind. And here's the key: it's your paradigm that governs your results, not your desires, not the books you've read, not even your dreams. What determines your reality is what's been programmed deep within you. Think of your paradigm like the software in a computer. And your body is the hardware. You can try pressing different keys, but if the program remains the same, you'll keep getting the same output. The most dangerous part? Most people don't even realize they're operating on autopilot. Want to see this in action? Look around. Notice the person who says every year that next year will be different, but has been repeating the same habits for 5, 10, even 15 years. Do you think that's what they want? Of course not. But they're stuck in a mental pattern that was embedded without them even noticing. And do you know when it all starts? In childhood. You were born a blank slate. But over time, you absorbed ideas, beliefs, fears, and judgments. Money is dirty, you have to study hard and work harder to get by. If you get rich quickly, you must be dishonest. Don't dream too big, you'll only be disappointed. All of that entered your subconscious and became your paradigm. You might not even remember hearing those phrases, but they're still inside you. And they're influencing every decision you make. Here's something to pay close attention to: your paradigm acts like an invisible filter. You see the world through it. If your paradigm says you're only worth about £4,000 a month, then even if an opportunity arises to earn £16,000, something inside you will block it. You'll doubt yourself. You'll procrastinate. You'll reject the opportunity. Not because you're incapable, but because your internal system has a ceiling, and it will do everything it can to keep you under it. And this happens to people from all walks of life. Take Mike Tyson, for example, one of the greatest boxers in history. He earned the equivalent of over £150 million and lost it all. Why? Because his paradigm was programmed for scarcity, for self-destruction. He had the talent, he achieved temporary success, but his inner world wasn't ready to sustain it. So it all collapsed. And this happens all the time, in different ways. Someone wins the lottery and loses it all in a few years. Someone launches a promising business but can't keep it going. Someone enters a healthy relationship and sabotages it out of insecurity. These are all expressions of the same issue: the paradigm isn't aligned with the desired outcome. You might be wondering now, so how do I identify my paradigm? The answer is simple: look at your results. Your financial situation, your relationships, your health, your self-confidence, your routine. All of these are reflections of your current paradigm. What you're living isn't the result of your wishes, it's the result of what's been embedded within you. And that's why superficial changes don't work. Changing jobs, moving to a new city, ending a relationship, switching your wardrobe, none of it matters if you don't change the root. And the root is your paradigm. It's like changing the wallpaper on a virus-infected computer. It might look different on the surface, but inside, it's still the same system. Now, Let me share something I discovered after studying this for more than 50 years. A paradigm doesn't shift through willpower alone. Real change happens through repetition and emotional engagement. You have to replace old beliefs with new ideas. You need to expose yourself to thoughts that challenge your current mental patterns. And you have to do it consistently, every single day, until those new ideas become part of who you are. That's how I changed. I began repeating affirmations, visualizing my goals, emotionally connecting with a new image of myself. At first, it felt silly. But I kept going. I knew that if I wanted to change my results, I had to change my internal programming. And over time, the change happened. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. You can do this too. You can shift your paradigm. But you have to start now. Because if you don't, the next 5, 10, 20 years will look exactly the same. And you'll think it's bad luck, fate, or misfortune. But really, it's just your paradigm saying, you can't go any further. But the truth? You can. You simply need to learn how to take control of your internal system, rather than being controlled by it. You probably grew up hearing that you need to study hard, get good grades, find a decent job, and live a stable life. That plan sounds safe, logical, even sensible. But what no one told you is that school taught you how to gather information, but never taught you how to think for yourself. And that is the biggest flaw in the traditional education system. It creates informed individuals, but not transformed ones. Throughout my years studying personal development, one of the most striking things I realized was how even highly intelligent people, doctors, engineers, executives, can end up living average lives. They know so much, yet do so little with what they know. And the reason is simple: their paradigm was never changed. The education system poured information into their minds, but never taught them how to reprogram their thinking. I'm living proof of this. I only studied 2 months of secondary school. I have no certificates on the wall. No formal qualifications to justify the life I built. Yet, I built a company with earnings close to £30 million, traveled the world, and lived with freedom and purpose. And none of that happened because I followed the traditional educational path. It happened because I learned something most people never do: how to use my mind consciously. You see, school trains us to be good employees. It teaches us to follow rules, memorize, and repeat. It rewards obedience. But it never encourages us to question our identity, to think about what we truly desire, to develop our creative power. And the result? A world full of intelligent people, living lives they don't love. How many people do you know with a university degree who are unhappy in their jobs, struggling financially, or feel completely lost? How many spent years learning mathematical formulas, biological systems, and historical dates, yet never learned how to handle their emotions, define clear goals, or create a vision for their life? That's why I say, knowledge changes nothing if it doesn't change behavior. And behavior is governed by the paradigm. So it doesn't matter how much information you've absorbed, if it hasn't moved from your conscious mind to your subconscious, it's not serving you. It's just taking up space. And this leads to a devastating side effect: frustration. Because now you know what you're supposed to do, but you can't bring yourself to do it. You have the knowledge, but the results remain the same. And then comes the guilt, the sense of inadequacy, the thought, something must be wrong with me. But there's nothing wrong with you. The problem lies at the root of the system. They taught you how to know, but not how to be. A study published in the Journal of Adult Development showed that most adults feel they're not living to their full potential, even though they're highly capable in their fields. That's tragic. Brilliant people trapped in patterns that stop them from shining. All because no one ever told them that there's a vast difference between information and transformation. And the most brutal part? School gave us the illusion that formal knowledge would be enough to change our lives. By the time we realize that life hasn't gone the way we thought it would, we're already knee-deep in bills, pressure, expenses, and responsibilities. That's when the inner voice whispers, it's too late now. But it's not. It never is. The moment to turn things around is always now. I remember a story that stayed with me. A man aged 58, with 3 university degrees, came to me. He was tired, frustrated, and told me he felt like a fraud. "Bob, I've studied so much, and still I live constantly worried about money. What did I do wrong?" I looked him in the eye and said, "You've done nothing wrong. You've simply learned the path from your head to the paper. But you never learned the path from your mind to the results." And in that moment, he understood. It wasn't too late. He simply needed to align the knowledge he already had with a new internal programming. And that's what we started doing together. He reprogrammed his mindset, redefined his goals, and in less than 2 years, he built a business that completely transformed both his lifestyle and his sense of meaning. So if you feel today that you have potential, but that potential isn't showing up in your results, know this: the problem isn't lack of information. It's the paradigm that needs to be rebuilt. It's not about deleting everything you've learned, but about reorganizing, restructuring, and reconnecting it in a way that serves the life you wish to create. Because in the end, the most valuable education isn't the one that gives you a diploma, it's the one that gives you freedom. Freedom to be who you truly want to be. Freedom to live how you genuinely wish to live. And that freedom only comes when you learn to educate your mind. I started by cleaning a single office. It wasn't a dream job. It wasn't glamorous. It was floors, cleaning supplies, silence, and persistence. But at the time, it was all I had. And it was all I could do. While many saw it as just another manual job, I saw it as a tool. A means. An opportunity to apply what I was learning. Because I wasn't just cleaning offices, I was cleansing the inside of myself. I was reprogramming my mind. As I scrubbed the floor, I repeated affirmations. I visualized my goals. I imagined myself living in different cities, running a thriving business, inspiring people. Slowly but surely, the old paradigm that used to whisper "you're just another one" began to fade, making way for a new belief: you were born for something far greater. That's when everything started to shift. Bit by bit, I began getting more contracts. One client would recommend another. And another. Within a matter of months, I wasn't just cleaning offices in Toronto, I was operating in Montreal, then Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, and before I knew it, in London, England. All of this happened in less than 5 years. A man who once earned about £24,000 a year and owed £32,000 was now generating more than £1 million a year. When people asked me what I did for a living, I gave a simple answer: I clean offices. And I read *Think and Grow Rich* every day. But the truth was, I was applying an invisible principle that very few truly understand: change what's happening within, and the world around you changes. What I want you to understand is that it wasn't the nature of the work that made the difference. It wasn't luck. It was my decision to reprogram my paradigm. I stopped thinking in terms of limitations. I stopped repeating the same excuses so many people use. I made the decision to stop saying, "I can't," and started asking, "How can I?" And that small shift in approach opened doors that had seemed permanently closed. Most people wait for the big breakthrough, the magical opportunity. But what really transforms your life is what you do with what you have, right where you are. Because when you act with a new mental image, with a new pattern of thinking, the universe responds. It responds with people, situations, ideas, and opportunities that were always there, you just couldn't see them, because your paradigm kept you blind. And it was at that moment that I understood, if you want to change your life, you must first change the image you hold of yourself. And that image must be built with intention. It needs to be nourished every day with new thoughts, new emotions, new decisions. Because wishing isn't enough. You have to decide. And decision is the starting point of every transformation. Here's a challenge for you: over the next 7 days, choose one habit that represents the new identity you want to step into, and practice it every single day. It could be waking up an hour earlier, writing your goals in a notebook, repeating a positive affirmation with conviction, or visualizing your ideal life as though it were already happening. But do it with intention, with emotional energy. Because it's emotional repetition that rewires the paradigm. You might think this all sounds far too simple. I understand, I doubted it at first too. But after more than 50 years of applying these principles, and witnessing thousands of people transform their lives through them, I can assure you, what seems simple often holds the deepest power to transform. You don't need a miracle. What you need is a method. A process. A new way of thinking that gives birth to a new way of acting. And that action, fueled by a new self-image, is what reprograms the paradigm. And when the paradigm shifts, everything shifts. Your relationships change. Your health improves. Your bank account grows. Your energy increases. Your entire life transforms. But no one can do this for you. Not me. Not your partner. Not your boss. Not your family. It's you. It has always been you. And when you accept that, when you take full responsibility for your mental programming, that's when you truly take control. That's exactly what I did. I took ownership, even when I didn't fully understand what I was doing at the start. Even while cleaning floors. Even with debt. Even with limited education. Because what you have today does not define what you're capable of creating tomorrow. What defines it is what you believe about yourself. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's this: your outer reality will never exceed the inner image you hold. So if you want to change everything, change that image. Feed it. Protect it. Strengthen it. And believe me, the life you long for is already waiting for you. It just needs you to show up with a new paradigm. Everything we've talked about here, every example, every reflection, all comes down to one simple but profoundly powerful truth: your life won't change until you change the way your mind is programmed. The paradigm that governs your thoughts, your actions, and your results needs to be rewritten, and only you can do it. Now that you understand this, there's no going back. This awareness cannot be unseen. And from this moment forward, every step you take towards rewiring your mind will bring you closer to the life you truly deserve. And if something in this touched you, know that what comes next will take you even deeper. The next video is already appearing on your screen, and in it, we'll take the next step on this journey. You'll progress by 1% more in your personal development and expand your awareness even further. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'll see you in the next video.